The title of my program is What is Captcha and Why Do I Care? My first thoughts in preparing this program was to ask, what kind of word is capture? And what in the world could that possibly mean? There is so much information on the internet about capture that I had to narrow my focus and try to present what I thought would be interesting to my viewers. Capture is an acronym that stands for the Completely Automated Public Turing Test to tell computers and humans apart. Turing test? My question was, what is a Turing test? How do you pronounce it, and what does it mean? So, of course, I went to the internet. Alan Turing was an English mathematician and computer scientist who conceived of the Turing machine and broke German codes during World War II. You probably have heard of the Enigma code. So this is a type of challenge response test used in computing to determine whether the user is human. Captchas provide challenges that are difficult for computers to perform, but relatively easy for humans. For example, humans can identify stretched letters or numbers, or clicking in a specific area, but it is not so easy for computers. An internet bot is a software application that runs automated tasks over the internet. Tasks run by bots are typically simple and performed at a much higher rate compared to human internet activity. Some bots are good. For example, Googlebot is an application used by Google to crawl the internet and index it for search. Other bots can be malicious. For example, bots used to automatically scan websites for software vulnerabilities and execute simple attack patterns are considered bad bots. Bad bots, for instance, a DDoS or distributed denial of service attack, means that you are sending an illegitimate data request to a specific server with the goal of making it respond slower or to crash. This happens to gamers a lot. Some recommend that they use a VPN or virtual private network. What are captchas used for? On chatbots, have you ever been involved in a chat with a bot that at first you think it is a human and then it just does not answer your questions correctly? This is most irritating to me. Chatbots book meetings, they do customer service for banks, they direct you to the right place, etc. You know, the may I help you when you are trying to get in touch with a help person on a website and you get a chatbot? Sometimes they know what you're talking about, and sometimes you have a real problem trying to get to someone who can help you. And usually in this instance, it's not a chatbot. Google, of course, and Microsoft and other browsers have their web crawlers. Lately, I have used both Google and Microsoft, and I think that Google is the best when you are searching for something. Of course, that's just my opinion. Social bots. A social bot is an automatic program that simulates human behavior on social networks. Social bots take part in discussions on Twitter or Facebook and act like human users. They spread content on a particular topic on social media, mostly for the purpose of influencing people's opinions. Malicious bots. As you can see from my slide, there are many types of malicious bots that I know you are probably aware of. I know Google was involved in finding websites that had scrapped or copied content from other websites and dinged them for it. And if you do it, your rankings may be lowered because of it. What are captchas used for? Captchas are used by any website that wishes to restrict usage by bots. Specific uses include maintaining poll accuracy. Captchas can prevent poll skewing by ensuring each vote is entered by a human. Although this does not limit the overall number of votes that can be made, it makes the time required for each vote longer, discouraging multiple votes. Limiting registration for services. This prevents bots from spamming registration systems to create fake accounts. Preventing ticket inflation. This limits scalpers from purchasing large numbers of tickets and then reselling them in false registration to free events. How about preventing false comments? Just preventing them. Perform integrity. Basically, captchas deter hackers from abusing online services because they block bots from submitting fake online requests. They prevent hackers from signing up for multiple email accounts that they'll use for criminal purposes. They stop cyber criminals from spamming blogs or news content, pages with bad comments, and links to other websites. Why use Captcha anyway? Mainly because of internet robots called web robots. Robots are just bots. They are software applications that run automatically over the internet with the intent to emulate human activity. They do not have a human user, and they are programmed to do certain tasks. More than half, and just thought to be 40 to 60% of the internet traffic on a retailer's site is considered a bot. Bots continually scan for content, interacting with web pages, chatting with users, or looking for attack targets. I had a WordPress member site which you cannot believe how many registrations can happen in just 1 week. When I first started getting them, I noticed the same name continually coming up, which wasted a lot of my time just going to the admin site to delete them. A Captcha test is designed to determine if the online user is really a human or a bot. They are able to identify traditional captchas with algorithms trained in pattern recognition. So newer captcha methods are based more on complex tests. Bots have gotten smarter. Since Captcha was introduced, bots that use machine learning have been developed using artificial intelligence. These bots are better able to identify traditional captchas with algorithms trained in pattern recognition. Due to this development, newer captcha methods are based on more complex tests. For example, recaptcha requires clicking in a specific area and waiting until a timer runs out. Captchas are considered highly effective against all but the most sophisticated bad bots. Some of the drawbacks of using Captcha is that the captcha mechanisms can negatively affect the user experience on your website. They can be disruptive and frustrating for users. It may be difficult to understand or use for some audiences. Some captcha types are not accessible to users who view a website using screen readers or assistive devices. Some captcha types do not support all browsers. This is an example of Captcha, version 1 from Wikipedia, invented in 1997. As you can see, it obscures its message from computer interpretation by twisting the letters and adding a slight background color gradient. These captchas can use known words or phrases or random combinations of digits and letters. Some text-based captchas also include variations in capitalization. The captcha presents these characters in a way that is alienated and requires interpretation. Alienation can involve scaling, rotation, and distorting characters. It can also involve overlapping characters with graphic elements such as color, background noise, lines, arcs, or dots. This alienation provides protection against bots with insufficient text recognition algorithms, but can also be difficult for humans to interpret. Image-based captchas were developed to replace text-based captchas. These types of captchas use recognizable images, such as photos of animals, shapes, or scenes. Typically, image-based captures require users to select images, matching a theme, or to identify images that don't fit. They may be easier for humans, but there are accessibility issues for visually impaired users. On the plus side, image-based captures are more difficult than text to interpret. Here is an example of an image-based capture. Of course, you would select all the cats. At the top of the slide, you can see Google's recaptcha, where you can check "I am not a robot." This is an example of a LinkedIn security check. This is where you would pick the animal that is standing the correct way up. Over on the left, LinkedIn is telling the audience what they are doing. You notice at the bottom there is an audio symbol. Audio captures were developed as an alternative that grants accessibility to visually or deaf-impaired users. They are often used in combination with text or image-based captures. Audio captures present an audio recording of a series of letters or numbers which a user then enters. These captures rely on bots not being able to distinguish relevant characters from background noise. Like text-based captures, these tools can be difficult for humans to interpret as well as for bots. In searching the internet, they are still working on captures and accessibility means where a deaf-blind individual can access the internet. Here are some recaptcha audio controls. Some capture mechanisms ask users to solve a simple mathematical problem, such as 3 plus 4 or 18 minus 3. The assumption is that a bot will find it difficult to identify the question and devise a response. Another variant is a word problem asking the user to type the missing word in a sentence or complete a sequence of several related terms. These types of problems are not accessible to vision-impaired users, and at the same time, they may be easier for bad bots to solve. A popular alternative to Captcha is requiring users to sign in using a social profile such as Facebook, Google, or LinkedIn. The user's details will be automatically filled in using single sign-on functionality provided by the social media website. This is still disruptive, but may actually be easier for the user to complete than other forms of capture. An additional benefit is that it's convenient registration mechanism. My problem with this is every time I'm asked to do this, I have just changed my password and have to look it up before I can comply. This is maddening to me. Recaptcha is used by Google. Google is looking to make sure a click on a website is human, not a robot. Some of the things it does is it uses an advanced risk analysis engine and adaptive challenges to keep malicious software from engaging in abusive activities on your website. It collects and analyzes activity and user information, including typing patterns of the user, language, and the user's browser, etc. Google says with recaptcha Enterprise, you can defend your website against common web-based attacks like credential stuffing, account takeovers and scrapping, and help prevent costly exploits from malicious human and automated actors. Recaptcha Enterprise never interrupts your users with a challenge, so you can run it on all web pages where your customers interact with your services. In other words, your customer will not even realize that recaptcha is running in the background. Recaptcha uses learning based on user behavior patterns. The California Consumer Privacy Act, CCPA, is a statewide data privacy law that regulates how businesses all over the world are allowed to handle the personal information of California residents. Maybe your businesses do not fall in this category, story because the three CCPA thresholds for businesses state CCPA applies to any for-profit businesses in the world that sell the personal information of more than 50,000 California residents annually, or have an annual gross revenue exceeding 25 million, or derives more than 50% of its annual revenue from selling the personal information of California residents. Nevada has a similar online privacy law, but it is not considered as harsh as the California law. Other states with privacy laws pending are Virginia, Connecticut, New York, and Utah. There may be more, but I did not uncover those in my research. As far as Washington goes, there is a bill going back and forth between the state and Congress. The National Law Review states that it is unclear whether Congress will ultimately pass a federal law to create some uniformity. Until then, as new legislation is rolled out, companies and businesses should stay up to date to protect themselves from potential regulatory action and lawsuits. Webmasters have a hard job to do. We need to keep our websites and forums safe, and I'm not sure it will be the complete duty of a webmaster who does a website for a large company. It may actually be the security team that works most of it. Google recaptcha has tons of information on the internet about their internet and forum protections. Google also ensures a user-friendly experience for humans. It's free for some businesses as long as you have up to 1 million calls a month. That's what they call it. After that, you have to pay. After reading all I can or had time to, I realize if you use Google recaptcha, you had better be ready to inform your clients what is being captured. With all the data that is being captured by Google, you have to be ready to go to their site to see what is being captured and what you have to do security-wise to implement more security on your site. I would recommend Google's recaptcha for only large companies with the manpower to analyze the data collected. Next month, we will talk about several companies who offer form help with Captcha or Google's recaptcha. Kay and I use a form service called JotForm. It has Captcha, and it's very easy to use, and it's free for some, or I should say free for most. Some of the things we will talk about are what happens to forms after someone completes them. Do they go to the database, which you can review? What about emailing you the form? How should you save the information? How to embed your form in a website? Connecting to your payment service like PayPal to obtain payments in your forms. And I think that will be enough for that topic.